Today's been 5 months. 5 months ago since I've lost the love of my life, and it doesn't feel like it's almost been half a year. Oh, it doesn't even seem real. I'm still in this massive denial and just expectant to see him walk through that door. I read something the other day. It says, grief is a place to visit, but not a place to live. And when I read that, it like stopped me in my tracks. It's hard not to live in it. There are memories everywhere. And I wouldn't get rid of those memories ever. But when I read it, I thought, immediately I was kind of a little bit angry about it, but I was like, no, that's so true. I know Quentin wouldn't want me to stay sad. He would want me to move forward. And for those of you that know, he was such a, he took care of us, and he left me because of another tragic situation. He had left me a note on his file just saying if something ever happened, these are the things to do. And one of the things that he said, and I haven't shared this, but is don't mourn me, I'm going to a better place. I don't want you sad. So when I read that quote, I was like, grief is a place to visit, not a place to stay. I thought, oh my goodness. It's my season to visit right now, and I'm doing my very best to continue to keep moving, but not away from him, kind of with him, just pretending he's right here with me. But there are so many memories in this home, so many memories together. As school started back up, it's become more difficult because of all the things that we would do together with our kids. He was a very active, very active dad. Going to football games. My son decided not to play this year. That was another heartbreaking thing. But football's not the end all be all, right? But there's part of that I was like, well, I don't necessarily have to go sit on those Friday night games anymore. At least right now I get a little bit of a reprieve for that. So I'm kind of ranting all over the place today, but I certainly don't want to live in grief. And every day I feel like I'm swallowed up by it. But I also realize there's a process to it. And there's a process that it's a place to visit. And sometimes I'll visit that, and that's okay. But I also want to live in the gratitude of the biggest blessing of my life. And one of those biggest blessings of my life was Quentin. And so here I am 5 months out, and in ways I feel like I haven't made any progress. I miss him more today. I miss him more and more every day. The pain seems to get worse every day, but but I know I've made strides. I know I've made progress. I know that I'm not living in that grief because I am moving and stepping forward out in faith that God's still writing my story, and I'm still doing things. I'm not laying in the bed like I want to. That's a good sign. I'm not laying in the bed like I want to. So friend, I don't know if you're like me and you feel like you're full of sadness and grief like me, maybe from a loss of a partner and best friend, maybe a loss of a child, maybe the loss of a dream. I don't know what that grief looks like for you. We all go through grief of different sorts. And it's difficult. It's very, very difficult. And what I feel like doing is not what I'm doing. I feel like laying in bed and not facing the rest of the day, but I'm up, so that's a win. That's a sign that I'm not living in my grief today, rather reflecting, looking in the rear view, reflecting, but not reflecting on the day of that tragedy, but the life that was lived well and given to us very well. With God, all things are possible. And I'm walking right alongside. I know he's walking right alongside me. I got Jesus on one side and my amazing husband on the other. And I was thinking about this at church yesterday. as a fisherman. And I believe I just had this like profound like flood of thoughts and imagery over me at church yesterday. And I fully believe that my husband is fishing on those crystal lakes and not having any problems catching the biggest fish of his life. And I think right next to him is not just Jesus. You know, I think Jesus is sitting right next to him, but I think he's also fishing with Peter. He loved Peter. And so I think about all those things. I was like, oh, Jesus is there with him in heaven, but he's got companionship. All these disciples that he studied and wanted to meet someday, he's fishing with them right now. Yeah, so those are the things that help me out a little bit. Help me out a lot to keep that eternal perspective. So with God, all things are possible. I'm sad today. Today's gonna be a hard day, but I'm stepping forward out in faith.